you feel anything for those parents or the children themselves?
No, but
Here is a little girl that ostensibly is on the road to recovery, and in the space of 2 minutes she's killed her.
You shake your head and smile. Does he find it amusing?
no reply.
Horrific.
And you were absolutely certain that the first doctor had probably saved her from collapse, but that within a few minutes, Beverley Allitt had injected her.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But this time, police did have enough evidence to hold her.
And then she was charged. She was charged with 4 counts of murder.
Parents and relatives, it had been a long, painful wait.
And attempted murder, and offences of GBH.
I am arresting you on suspicion of the attempted murder of this child on the 9th of April 1991. You do not have to say anything unless you wish to do so.
Beverley, I have to tell you that you do not have to say anything unless you wish to do so, but what you're saying over here.
I am now arresting you for the attempted murder of Kaylee Joanda.
She made no comment about the charges.
Can you recall that day?
No reply.
She was then taken to her cell and went to sleep and had to be woken in the morning to go to court.
So she had to be woken to go to court.
Yeah. This young lady was callous, sadistic. She was attacking children after children. They were vulnerable, innocent, defenceless, and yet she had no emotion whatsoever and no remorse.
A nurse appeared in court at Grantham in Lincolnshire today, charged with the murder of 3 babies and an 11-year-old at the hospital where she worked.
The trial began on February the 15th, 1993.
Allitt is denying 4 murders and 11 attempted murders.
The true horror of her crimes came out suggested that she suffocated some of her victims. 3 months later, a verdict was reached.
There was emotion in the public gallery as the verdicts were announced. There was an audible sigh of relief as the first of the guilty verdicts was announced.
Guilty of murdering 4 children. Guilty of 3 attempted murders. Guilty 6 times of causing grievous bodily harm with intent.
For the first time in British history, a nurse had been found guilty of murdering children in a hospital.
You know, you put so much faith and trust in nurses. They're supposed to help you.
Do I feel betrayed by the nurse? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Something like that shouldn't happen.
Victims' families were determined to see Beverley Allitt sent to prison for life, and in late May of 1993, they finally got some news they wanted to hear.
Nurse Beverley Allitt begins a sentence without end tonight for murdering 4 children in her care and for injuring 9 others.
We're very pleased. 13 life sentences is what we hoped for, and that's exactly what we've got. I only hope that she's never released.
Parents of her victims looked on as the convicted serial killer was driven from court to begin her 13 life sentences at Holloway Prison. But she would remain there only for a week. Beverley Allitt has been here at Rampton Secure Hospital for the best part of 27 years. A patient, not just a prisoner. But should she have been moved here in the first place? Before her trial, Beverley Allitt reportedly told close friends that whatever happened, she would not go to prison. Beverley Allitt was not deemed to be seriously mentally ill when she committed her crimes, and on sentencing, she did not meet the criteria for transfer to a hospital. Once in prison, she refused to eat or drink and was diagnosed as having a psychopathic disorder. After only 1 week, she was moved to Rampton Hospital. Shortly after her arrival here, an ITV film crew gained extraordinary access to Rampton and managed to see Beverley Allitt in the hospital and to talk to her about what her life was like.
It's not too bad.
What's the good thing about it?
we're out, got more freedom in it.
You like it better than where you were before?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I've got more freedom. I'm not locked up all the time.
I think it's wrong. She should be in a prison for the crimes she committed.
She's a murderer. She's a child murderer. She's been living the life of Riley in there. She should be serving her life sentences in a prison, behind bars.
It can't be no fault I'm making.
I asked two leading criminal experts for their opinion on Allitt's mental state at the time of her arrest.
But what if it's a deliberate fault you're making?
What can I do deliberately to do it? I don't know what to do, but
Jeremy Coyd has assessed some of Britain's most notorious killers, including Ian Brady and Peter Sutcliffe.
She doesn't sound like somebody who has a severe mental illness or a personality disorder so severe that she needs to go to Rampton.
Elizabeth Yardley has written extensively on healthcare serial killers.
When we start talking about mental ill health, we're looking at people who aren't in control of their actions. But it's very clear to me that Beverley Allitt knew exactly what she was doing. She knew it was wrong and she chose to do it anyway. I think somebody who has committed murder knowingly, willingly, I think, yes, they should be in prison.
Beverley Allitt was first moved from prison to hospital when she showed signs of anorexia while on remand. But our research has uncovered a psychiatric assessment of Beverley Allitt before trial, which judges her fit to plead and raises serious questions about the authenticity of the original symptoms that had her moved.
We've had sight of an official report which suggests that Beverley Allitt was faking the anorexia, which had her moved from prison to hospital in the first place. Is this more evidence of her manipulative behavior?
I think this woman is an incredibly manipulative individual. She's somebody who has managed to pull the strings of other people for years and years before she was even convicted of these crimes. So why would she have changed her behaviour?
It is suggested that Beverley Allitt may have manipulated her way into a hospital as against a prison. Is it possible?
I think it's very difficult to simply manipulate your way into prison or into hospital. Otherwise, they'd be full of all sorts of people that shouldn't be there. It is not impossible that somebody changes their presentation to try and do what they think is best for them, but that's not an easy task, and you're going to have to do that consistently with a whole bunch of people who are trained to see whether or not you're accurately saying what you're saying and doing what you said you did.
Over the years, Allitt has been diagnosed with various personality disorders, but only she knows the answer to the biggest question still surrounding this case.
I don't know, I don't want to talk about it.
A quarter of a century on, one question in particular still troubles those involved.
I've always been puzzled why somebody who joins a caring profession would suddenly start and harm children. I've never understood it.
At her trial, experts presented a theory that Allitt suffered from Munchausen syndrome by proxy, that the attention-seeking behavior from her childhood had evolved into harming others so that she could be the one to save them. When she was interviewed, officers pressed her on this fireman's syndrome.
But aren't you proud of the fact that this has happened and you've saved him?
No. How can I save his doctors, not me?
Had you not alerted the doctor, what potentially could have happened to these children?
They'd have been found dead, I should think.
So, whose feather in the cap is it? Who's the hero? In my layman's terms, I call it the fireman's syndrome.
What's that?
I'm a fireman, I'll start a fire, I'll raise the alarm, I'll put it out.
Detective Stuart Clifton is one of the few people who has been able to ask her face to face. He saw her in hospital just months after her conviction. How was she then when you saw her at Rampton?
Very calm. She wouldn't give any explanation as to why she'd done it. She merely said, yes, I'm responsible, but I didn't do all 13, I only did 9.
She said that to you?
Yes.
Oh, how did she say this? What did she say to you?
She just blurted it out. I think there's no other way of putting it. Why have you done it? And her head goes down and she doesn't answer.
And has she made any other response since?
No.
Beverley Allitt's surviving victims are still troubled by her apparent failure to confess her crimes. But I've discovered a failed application by Allitt to become a lifetime patient and avoid prison. It contains a startling revelation. In this application, Allitt does finally admit to all 13 crimes of which she was convicted. Yet we have spoken to families of her victims, and it seems none of them in making this film. I've discovered more about Beverley Allitt's character. When you saw her at Rampton, was there any sign at all that she was remorseful about what had happened?
None at all.
Then that Hampshire will leave me, and I know no, I don't care.
She has shown no remorse for the lasting damage she caused.
Her crimes were very much like dropping a pebble into a pond. They spread far and wide. You know, there's clearly the families, close relatives of the children involved.
Well, the setting really is this.
No,
You don't find it upsetting?
No, fine.
I have seen and heard how Beverley Allitt continued her controlling behavior after she committed her crimes. But why did she attack and murder those children on Ward 4? That is one secret I fear she will take to her grave.
You haven't evidence to say I injected him.
No, we've just got...
Well then, if you haven't got evidence to say I did it, I didn't do it.